So welcome to Dog and Science. Today we will talk about a very interesting study. Very interesting and very recent. So it's a study published actually from my research group, so from Chiara Canori, that was the leading author, Tiziana Travain, me, Rachele Fontani, and Paola Valsecchi. So this study is about the blinking behavior. The blink is one of the signals that have been defined as displacement behavior and stress indicator, but also as appeasement signal. So a signal that have the function to reduce the aggressive behavior in the receiver of the signals and to signals peaceful intention from the sender. So if a dog, there is this hypothesis, if a dog blinks or licks his nose, is also nose licking is also one of the other signals that has been theorized as appeasement signals, then this dog is signaling peaceful intention. So he's telling you, hey, I don't want to attack you, I'm peaceful, I don't want to have a conflict with you. But how can we actually prove this? Is it true? Is blinking really linked to social communication, or is just a physiological mechanisms to clear the eyes and moisture them and so on? In this study, Chiara tried to see whether actually blinking had a response, so involved elicit a feedback to other dogs. How did she do that? So she isolated this behavior and she was showing the videos of dogs either blinking, nose licking, or with a neutral expression to other dogs. And she was seeing what was the response of the other dogs. And what came out was that actually dogs that were seeing other dogs blinking, they were blinking more compared to when they were seeing the other dogs with a neutral face or when they were seeing the other dogs nose licking. And this is the first evidence of a kind of mimicry, synchronization, feedback on blinking behaviors from dogs to other dogs. And it's very interesting because it could involve some kind of communication behind this blinking behavior or some kind of social synchronization. But let's go and talk with Chiara that she will tell us more about this interesting study. Hello everyone and welcome Chiara. We are online with Chiara Canori, a PhD student from the Domestic Dog Ethology Lab. And today we will talk about her latest paper, If You Blink at Me, I Will Blink Back. Domestic Dogs Feedback to Conspecific Visual Cues. So, dear Chiara, could you introduce yourself and describe the focus of your research and your research group?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I'm glad to be hosting here. So, I'm Chiara Canori, as I said, a PhD student from Italy, working at the Dog Ethology Lab under the supervision of Professor Paola Valsecchi, which is basically an old lab focusing on both dogs' communication, cognition, and more recently on scent-related research. My research project, my PhD research project, actually focuses on dogs' intra- and interspecific visual displays. And so this is the first study I published investigating this.
Nice, thank you very much. And what motivated you to study visual communication in domestic dogs?
So basically, I was really passionate since I was a child about dogs, and my interest actually deepened a lot during my master thesis, which I also did with Paola and with you, of course. But then I have to say that one of my major, my major interest actually was built up thanks to my dog Navar. When I adopted him, I started growing my interest in dogs' communication and observing his interactions daily. So I became more and more fascinated about how complex it could be. And yes, he continues to be my greatest inspiration nowadays.
Yes, our dogs are our inspiration. And I think that if we want to conduct this work, what really needs to be motivating us is really our interest and our daily life. So, and about daily life, I know, and that also our audience know that you are also a dog trainer. So how would you explain the displacement behaviors and appeasement signals in domestic dogs to our audience? So dog trainers and dog owners that are interested in discovering something more about dog behavior? What are these kind of behavior and why they are so important? Why scientists are interested about them?
I think there are multiple interpretations. So the biggest problems about this behavioral displays actually is, so as a dog trainer, I noticed that many dog trainers actually have a bit of a hard time every now and then in actually splitting when they are displacement activities or stress-related behaviors or appeasement behaviors. But the thing is that it is completely understandable because as scientists, we also know that these behavioral displays are not actually identified in a univoc, precise manner. So in the last 30 years of dog research, they've been identified as stress-related behaviors, but also as displacement behaviors occurring when dogs feel like conflicted or unsure about the ongoing situation. And for example, I think many of us have seen their dogs like scrolling or self-scratching or just stretching when something is off. I mean, yesterday I was out with my dog and a tram passed by and he scrolled himself. And yes, but it depends on the context. And this is what makes them actually a bit hard to identify. And then in the late 90s, the hypothesis of the appeasement behavior showed up, which actually made it a bit more complex even. So according to this hypothesis, some of these behavioral displays, which are still identified as stress-related and displacement activities, also function as communicative behaviors to convey peaceful intentions and avoid conflicts with intra and interspecific. So I think it depends a lot on the ongoing context, but still research showing the precise context of these behavioral displays is scarce. So I think that dog trainers should focus mainly on what's going on. So I mean, my dog is crawling or self-scratching. Why? What happened? It could be that it's just conveying peaceful intentions, or it could be stress because something else happened. And while on the other end, research and scientists should better investigate the dual meaning of these displays.
Yes, thank you very much. So displacement behaviors in dogs are those signals that are not functional to the situation the dog is in, and that appears to us a little bit strange. And we know, or there is a common knowledge that they can be interpreted as stress-related behaviors, but also, as Chiara was saying, maybe as appeasement signals. So maybe the dog is communicating something to us that we still don't know. So obviously, in daily life, context is the key, and know your dog is the best practice to interpret what he's feeling or what he's trying to say to us at all time. But scientists, as you said, are trying to understand something more objective about these behaviors. So what are the most innovative findings of your study, and why did you study this kind of behavior specifically? So why blink and nose lick?
Okay, so as you said, since we're trying to better understand the precise function of these displays, it's not like I just woke up one day and said, okay, let's do blinking and nose licking. Previous studies from our research group actually showed that these two behavioral displays were somehow, for whatever reasons, more expressed by dogs in social contexts rather than in non-social contexts. So when we did our previous research, we found out that dogs express more eye blinking and nose licking, as well as lip wiping, for example, when another dog was present, or when one of us was present, like an experimenter or a person. So it was a bit consistent as a result, right? But how to find a way to isolate these behavioral displays? It was not that easy to decide, okay, I just cut out these behavioral displays and ignore everything else. So what we did with this current study was trying to use videos. And this is actually one, probably of course, it's secondary to the blink rates result, but I don't want to pretend that it's not interesting that dogs look at videos without auditory stimuli, because we didn't know that when we started this protocol. We didn't know, we couldn't tell if dogs would have watched these videos of just conspecifics, solely eye blinking or licking their nose. We were really skeptical when we started recording. So first, it's really, really crazy to me that these 50 dogs I've tested actually looked at these videos and were involved somehow by these stranger dogs blinking their eye or licking their nose. And then, of course, the crazy result that the blinking rate somehow matched the one from the dogs we were showing up. So basically, this was never investigated before at an intraspecific context. There's one single study investigating blink rates at an intraspecific context between owners and their pets, both cats and dogs, which is also very recent. But at an interspecific level, this is still the very first study. So this is also really interesting because it opens up to a new perspective of how dogs respond to visual displays. And also, never forget that we used a video stimuli paradigm, which also revealed to be extremely useful in this context.
Yeah. So for who is listening and may not have read the paper or the article, actually, so dogs were blinking more when they saw an interspecific partner blinking, and they were not doing so when they were seeing another dog with a neutral expression or actually nose licking. So our conclusion was that maybe this blinking behavior has something to do with communication, and that it may have kind of synchrony or mimicry phenomenon involved. So what do you think about it? What can you tell to our audience about this?
So that's a great statement, because in this study, we actually didn't control for precise synchrony or latency. So I can't tell from these results, it is a mimicry phenomenon or like there's some extent of blink synchronization. But my research is ongoing and I'm actually working on that. And if it turns up that blinking is not just like something that, okay, my rates increase when I see you blinking, but also in dogs as means of synchrony, or maybe also some type of mimicry, both rapid or delayed mimicry, that could be really, really interesting, because it would mean that could play a role in bonding and affiliations, both between dogs, but also between dogs and humans. We know that in humans, blinking synchrony is a thing. We tend to synchronize our eye blinking when we are speaking with someone else's, and there's a lack of these behaviors in people suffering from autistic syndromes, which is analogous of what happens in rapid mimicry. So if further studies, which I'm actually working on right now, would confirm that the blink rates increase when dogs are engaged with a social partner and also showing some extent of synchrony and mimicry, then that would probably mean that it is a social behavior that has implications for social bond and affiliations. So I'm really excited about that. I think there's still a lot to show up.
Yes, we are. And for dog owners and dog trainers, what are the potential practical application of your research? So what can we take home, and how can this change our behavior towards dog and our interpretation of dog behavior?
So for the blinking behavior itself, I can't say that it is really a conscious communicative behavior. I can't say that. But I think if it turns up being a synchronization behavior, yes, related to synchrony and showing some extent of mimicry, then we can just be a little bit more attentive to how much our dogs is blinking their eyes, or if it actually wants to engage with us. I mean, if dogs is closer to us and blinks a lot and engages with us, then a higher synchronization and some extent of mimicry in that case would probably imply that there are strong social bond, affiliation. On the other hand, if dogs turns their head away and doesn't actually engage with us, then it would imply that this dog actually doesn't want to do a lot with us in the precise context, or it is a bit more skeptical or something else. So just the extent of how this behavior could relate to different social situations and social contexts might help us understand better how dogs is feeling towards a precise social partner or not.
Nice. Thank you very much, Chiara. And thank
No
you
problem.
for explaining your research and to tell something more about you. And let's see us in your next article. So we are looking forward to know more about the meaning of this blink behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.